My name is Katsos. I'm the president and founder of EMCA, the East Mediterranean Business Culture Alliance. We celebrate or commemorate the Smyrna catastrophe, which was the tail end of the Hellenic genocide. The Hellenic genocide started in 1913, post-Balkan Wars, and actually started before that and culminated in the destruction of Smyrna, one of the greatest cities, Hellenic cities, of the Eastern Mediterranean. In September 13 of 1922, the fires of Smyrna, created and started by the Turkish military that had entered into the city, destroyed and killed as many as 100,000 Hellenic people. The fire lasted from September 13th to September 17th, and there was hundreds of thousands of people who also had come in to Smyrna before the devastation. It ended with the fire of Smyrna, 3,500 years of Hellenism in the Eastern Mediterranean. It's something that we cannot forget, because if we forget that, we forget a lot of other things, and history tends to repeat itself. Turkey, the modern nation of Turkey, has tried for decades to prevent the recognition of the Hellenic genocide in Turkey. They've spent tens of millions of dollars doing that. Most nations of the world are frightened in many cases by the money that's spent forcing people not to recognize the destruction and genocide of the Hellenic people, and the Christian people really, because it also involved Armenians and Assyrians. As many as 1.5 million Armenians, for example, were murdered, tortured, killed in death marches and things of that nature. Approximately 900,000 Hellenic people were killed during the late Ottoman period over many years in the genocide. And approximately 750,000 Assyrians had the same fate. And still, to this day, most nations do not recognize that genocide. I'm in the United States. The United States government, the federal government, has not recognized that. And it's important to recognize it. And Turkey still denies it. We have the deniers of this particular genocide. And don't forget, here we are now in the 21st century. What happened with the genocide in 1922 did not really end. It manifested itself, for example, in Cyprus, in northern Cyprus, which was invaded. And here we are 45 years after the invasion. And in spite of everything that has taken place, the area is still occupied. Hundreds of thousands of ethnic Turks have come into northern Cyprus to change the population. We have still the same type of issues that were taking place before are happening. We had the pogrom, the Istanbul pogrom, in September 6th and 7th of 1955 that in a sense relate again to this. We have other issues that are taking place with other ethnic groups, other Christians in the East. Genocide has to be recognized. There has to be a reconciliation. And it's about time that we, both nationally and internationally, work towards that goal. We cannot forget the millions of people that were killed, the millions of people that went into death marches, went into rapes, went into mass slaughters. We cannot forget those things. We cannot forget that Hitler recognized Kemal Ataturk and what took place in Turkey as something that he aspired to when he was asked, how can you kill the Jews, how can you exterminate the Jews? And Hitler's response basically, as we all know, because it's historical, was, and what happened to the Armenians and what happened to the Greeks? Did anyone acknowledge their genocide? So if we don't start acknowledging these genocides, genocides will continue. And we saw the genocides, obviously, in the Middle East recently, in Syria, where we had the Christian population Again, the same type of things that we talked about in terms of the genocide took place in Syria. And not only to the Christian populations, but also to the Muslim populations, for example, the Azeri people, who did not have the same beliefs as others. As people of the world, we have to stop genocides from taking place ever again. And things like what took place with the Hellenic genocide and the Assyrian and the Armenian genocide, and certainly the Smyrna catastrophe, point to something that has to be recognized now. It's about time we recognize it.